Right now, a galaxy far larger than 1 trillion suns is falling toward us. It is the Andromeda Galaxy, and it is on a collision course with our own Milky Way. The crash has not happened yet, but it is coming, and nothing will stop it. Andromeda is the closest large galaxy to our own, a sweeping spiral of perhaps 1 trillion stars. It is bigger than the Milky Way and bound to us by gravity. For now it hangs in the dark, a vast pinwheel of light, drifting steadily nearer with every passing year. Andromeda lies about 2.5 million light-years from Earth. That means the light reaching your eye tonight left the galaxy 2.5 million years ago, before our species existed. We see Andromeda not as it is, but as it was in the deep human dawn. On a clear, dark night, far from city lights, you can find Andromeda with your own eyes, a faint oval smudge in the constellation that bears its name. It is the most distant object most people will ever see unaided, an entire galaxy reduced to a whisper of light. Most galaxies in the universe are racing away from us as space itself expands. But Andromeda is different. It is bound to the Milky Way by gravity, and it is moving toward us, its light shifted slightly bluer by its approach. We are not drifting apart, we are converging. Andromeda is closing the gap at about 110 kilometers every second, roughly 250,000 miles per hour. It is one of the fastest things heading our way in all the cosmos, and yet the distance is so immense that the journey still takes billions of years. For a century we knew Andromeda was approaching, but to know it would truly hit us, astronomers had to measure its sideways drift as well. Using the Hubble telescope, they tracked its motion across the sky for years and found that Andromeda is aimed almost straight at us. The collision will not begin for about 4.5 billion years. That is roughly the present age of the Earth, stretching into the future. Everything in human history, every empire and every life, fits into a tiny sliver of the time still left before the galaxies meet. It is tempting to imagine a violent crash, stars smashing into stars, worlds shattering. But that is not what happens. Galaxies are almost entirely empty space. When they collide, they pass through one another like two clouds of smoke, vast and ghostly and mostly untouched. The distances between stars are staggering. If the sun were a grain of sand, its nearest neighbor would be another grain miles away. So even as two galaxies merge, the chance of any two stars actually colliding is almost zero. They simply glide past in the dark. Long before the bright disks meet, the galaxy's vast invisible halos of dark matter will merge. These enormous unseen cocoons stretch far beyond the visible stars, and they are already drifting together. In a real sense, the outermost edges of the two galaxies may be brushing one another even now. What does change is shape. Gravity is relentless. As the galaxies sweep past, their mutual pull stretches and twists their graceful spiral arms, tearing long streamers of stars out into the dark and warping two ordered pinwheels into something wild and unrecognizable. Great tails of stars are flung outward, some streaming millions of light years into space. Bridges of stars and gas stretch between the two galaxies, glowing arcs connecting them as they dance. The Milky Way and Andromeda become a single tangled, luminous knot. The collision is not only destruction. As vast clouds of gas slam together, they are squeezed and shocked into collapse, and across the wreckage a brilliant baby boom of new stars ignites. The merging galaxies blaze with fresh, fierce, newborn light. The fireworks cannot last. The same burst of star birth that lights the merger also burns through the galaxy's gas, and fierce young stars blow the rest away. Starved of raw material, the new galaxy slowly stops making stars, settling into a quiet, reddening old age. This is not guesswork. Across the sky we can see other galaxies caught mid-collision, their arms drawn into long antennae of stars, their hearts ablaze with new suns. They are a preview of our own future, frozen in light from far across the universe. The two galaxies will not merge in a single stroke. On their first encounter they sweep past one another, arms tearing, gas igniting, and then they continue out the other side. Two wounded spirals flung apart again into the dark, slowing as gravity pulls them back. But they cannot escape. Gravity slows their flight, halts them, and draws them back toward each other for a second encounter, and then a third. Each pass strips away more order, scatters more stars, and binds the two galaxies more tightly into one. With each pass, the dense central cores of the two galaxies lose energy and spiral closer together. Over hundreds of millions of years, they wind inward in a slow, tightening dance, until at last the two bright hearts of the galaxies are about to become one. At the center of each galaxy lurks a supermassive black hole, millions of times the mass of the Sun. As the cores merge, these two giants find each other, spiral together, and eventually combine, sending ripples through the very fabric of space and time. When the dust settles, after billions of years of violence, the Milky Way and Andromeda are gone as separate things. In their place stands a single new galaxy, larger than either, its spiral arms erased, its shape smooth and swollen and changed forever. Astronomers already have a name for the galaxy that will rise from the collision. They call it Milkomeda. It will be a giant elliptical galaxy, a vast, smooth swarm of aging stars, the merged inheritance of two great spirals that once drifted alone in the dark. And what of our Sun? Almost certainly it will be thrown into a new orbit, perhaps flung far out into the galaxy's distant halo, perhaps swept inward. From wherever it ends up, the familiar band of the Milky Way we know tonight will have utterly vanished. By the time the galaxies merge, the Sun will be old, swollen, and nearing its own death, more than 10 billion years along its life. The Earth, if it still exists, will long since have been scorched lifeless. No human eye will watch the collision from this world. Yet for hundreds of millions of years before the merger, the spectacle would be extraordinary. Andromeda would swell from a faint smudge into a vast glowing spiral spanning the night sky, brighter and larger with every passing age. A second galaxy unfurling overhead. The soft band of the Milky Way that has arched over every human night would slowly come apart. As the disk is torn and scattered, that familiar river of stars dissolves, replaced by the swelling glow of two galaxies tangled together overhead, a sky no ancestor would ever recognize. Imagine standing beneath that sky as the two galaxies tore into one another, the heavens streaked with rivers of stars and lit by the fire of a million newborn suns. It would be the most magnificent sight any living thing could ever hope to witness. The Milky Way and Andromeda may not dance alone. The smaller Triangulum galaxy, third largest in our local neighborhood, is bound to them too, and it may join the collision, adding its own stars to the merger, a third partner drawn into the gravitational embrace. All of these galaxies belong to the local group, a small cluster bound together by gravity against the expansion of the universe. While the rest of the cosmos drifts ever further apart, these few dozen galaxies will stay together, fated to merge and mingle over deep time. Beyond the local group, dark energy is driving the universe apart. In the far future, every other galaxy will recede beyond view, their light stretched away into darkness. Milkomeda will float alone in an emptying sky, the last great island any future astronomer could see. And so the collision that sounds like an ending is also a beginning. From two doomed spirals comes one enduring galaxy, a city of stars that will outlast almost everything around it, holding its light against a universe growing colder and darker and more alone. We will never see the collision, but in a real sense it has already begun, the two galaxies falling toward each other across the dark at this very moment, their light still traveling, their fates already sealed. Look up tonight, and you are watching the slow opening of the end.